do a video about this? There's so much stuff that's wrong.
Well, I don't know. Let's take a look at their video and see what I find.
There's something you should know about homosexuality.
Oh, this is gonna be good. Let's get some house cleaning out of the way first. If you're here from Telltale Atheist channel, thank you so much for subscribing. You guys are awesome. Secondly, please make sure to tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, because I'm going to have RJ Downard on my channel talking about evolution, and it's going to be a great live stream. Jim Hall from Atheist Edge will also be helping me co-host, so if you're a fan of him, you will enjoy.
The world around us is turning upside down. Right is being looked at as though it's wrong, and wrong is being looked at as though it's totally acceptable. In this topsy-turvy world, it's vital that we keep our heads screwed on the right way, even if everybody else has got theirs on the wrong way round.
I think the first thing I need to say is I need to give credit where it is due. These guys are definitely wonderful at visual effects. Unfortunately, as you're going to see as the video goes on, it's not necessarily for any type of good cause.
Primary reason for us being against homosexual acts is God's decree. And sometimes we might not know why God has forbidden something, but the teachings of Islam always have wisdoms behind them. Did you know that homosexual acts have a direct link to HIV and AIDS, which has killed millions of people across the world?
So if any of you are familiar with my video I did on Steven Anderson earlier about his bid for killing all homosexuals because they spread AIDS, then you already know the problems with this topic, but I'm going to go ahead and surmise them as quickly as I can. First of all, it's anal sex that actually causes a higher chance of STDs, not homosexual sex. Anal sex can be had between both males and females, and the main reason we see a higher proportion of AIDS and HIV in homosexual populations is because of the lack of sexual education about varied uses of condoms as well as sexual stigmas against getting tested. So now with that bit of bull out of the way, let's continue.
Statistically, 2% of the US population is gay, yet it accounts for over 60% of HIV infection. In fact, the link between homosexuality and AIDS is such that it was originally known as GRID. That's gay-related immune deficiency. But that's something that the mainstream media will never talk about.
As I said before, your statistics are not wrong, but the reason for them is completely different than what you're trying to ascribe them to. That's probably the reason the mainstream media isn't covering it the way that you're wanting them to. Not to mention, since we now know better than to say that homosexuality leads to AIDS, there's a reason that we don't say that AIDS is related to homosexuality. So calling something gay-related immune deficiency is not only inaccurate, but a pejorative, which makes it utterly useless.
But they're born that way. But they can't help it. It's genetics, right? Dr. John S.H. Tay, in his book Born Gay, examining the scientific evidence for homosexuality, after highlighting the significance of genetic factors, says that the claim by homosexuals that I am born that way so I cannot change is simply not true. He also noted that the public's popular belief that gay people can't help but be gay stems from the media's popularization of outdated scientific views of the 1990s.
Let's get his issue with the 1990s out of the way. First of all, if anybody, especially in America, lived here during the 1990s and was a homosexual, then you know the media was not on your side. So his claim that that's the case is utterly bunk. On top of that, we seem to have this issue with S.H. Tay's book, and while that man is a double PhD, one of them being in genetics, his claim is that homosexuality is not directly linked to genetics alone, which, by the way, science is showing that there is a combination of neurological factors involved and some environmental factors. But even with all that said, the science at no point is saying that it is a choice. There might be stimuli involved that cause it, but there is certainly not a choice involved in the matter. So no matter how many times you try to spin the lie that it is a choice by factors of omission, it is still not going to change the fact that it is not a choice. As an example, please choose to be gay, right here, right now. And I'm not saying choose to have a gay act. I mean change your sexual attraction right now to where you are now suddenly attracted to men. If you are in fact straight, I guarantee you cannot in fact do this. And trust me, it works the same way if you're gay. You can't just suddenly choose to be straight. You can't change what you're attracted to. And finally, if we were to look at the other books that John S.H. Tay has made, we would see books like God's Destiny for You, God's Destiny for Your Nation, Acts of the Apostles, and you get what I'm getting at here. There is certainly a religious bias in this individual's writing.
90s on brain structures, twin studies, and the XQ28 gene. In other words, you've been lied to. Again, and even if a guy was born gay and he was attracted to men, does that mean he can't control himself? There's a lot of things that we all want to do, but we have to control ourselves, don't we?
I have a feeling I know where this argument's going, but let's see if he surprises me.
So why is it that when it comes to homosexuals, it becomes like, oh, let him? Now let's make one thing very clear. Homosexuality in itself is not a sin, but rather it is the act itself which is forbidden in Islam.
Have you noticed that anytime he tries to portray somebody who's being supportive of gay rights, he always gives this really silly, childish voice? He's definitely not strawmanning the other side in any way, shape, or form. I would also like to point out that the entire argument of hating the homosexual act as opposed to hating the homosexual is a little abusive. It's basically telling somebody it's okay to be themselves, but being true to themselves and doing something that harms nobody is evil. It really is no better than telling the person that them being a homosexual is wrong, given that their sexuality is harmful to nobody. There is almost no difference between telling them that homosexuality is wrong or telling them that they cannot have homosexual relations. As far as utility goes, these arguments have no differences.
So one can have homosexual inclinations, but not succumb to them. For those believers out there who are experiencing homosexual tendencies and are genuinely struggling against those feelings, we will not ostracize you. We will not abandon you. You are as much brethren to us as anyone else.
We just hate what you do in bed because it somehow affects us.
And if the thought of committing homosexual acts still makes you go, ugh, that's nasty, then you should be thankful that the system has not yet infiltrated your mind.
So you're trying to say that somebody's brainwashed into not being a bigot, while your book that is used to brainwash people into being a bigot is being put on full display? Okay.
The next time someone tells you that it's okay to be gay, you'll notice that the basis of their argument is that as long as consenting adults agree to something, it's okay to do. It's certainly okay to do. Well, if that's the basis of your argument, then let's say someone wanted to have a sexual relationship with their sister. You'd be like, ugh, that's nasty. What's wrong with it? They're consenting adults, aren't they? Brothers with sisters, mothers with sons, fathers with daughters, it's all okay because they're consenting to it.
Not that you haven't been disingenuous this entire time, but allow me to show you where your argument falls apart. On the issues of parents to children, there is a power dynamic involved, meaning that true consent cannot really be gleaned here. On any other incestuous sexual act, we do understand that there is a lot of science behind the genetic problems that come up when you engage in multiple generations of incest. There is a conversation to be had about whether or not it should be allowed if there are no children being produced, and it is not parent to children. With the aforementioned power dynamic, you see how your analogy falls apart because these two things cannot actually be adequately compared to one another. Also, if in both cases your main argument against any type of sexual act is that you do not personally like it or you find it icky for some reason, then there's a high proportion of people in fetish communities that would like to talk to you about your personal beliefs on what they're doing in their bedroom. Because I guarantee you will not be okay with all of them. And your argument for not letting somebody do it seems to be, ew, that's icky. So why does it not also fall apart when dealing with fetishes?
It's all about the love. Because of this idea that consent between adults makes something okay, does that mean you'll also accept incest? No! Stop it! As long as they're adult about it and they love each other, I accept them for who they are, okay? Alright? Wrong! There's something within the human being which tells us right from wrong, but because of continuous insinuations from the media, bombardments from the press, and the passing of same-sex laws, people have chosen to turn a blind eye to their inherent disgust towards homosexuality.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the argument has always been that the inherent disgust towards homosexuality has been taught, not inherited. If something is between consensual adults, then it is none of your business. If the adults know all the risks involved and no one is being harmed, why does it become your business? I also love how he points out that same-sex marriage laws being passed is somehow a problem, because giving human beings equal rights isn't a good thing, somehow, in this person's eyes.
Put aside the truth and to just blindly accept that it's okay to be gay.
I wouldn't pull the blindly accepting card when arguing from a holy book. That's a can of worms I don't think you're ready to deal with. Projecting your problems onto us isn't going to earn you any favors.
One thing that we have to be absolutely clear about is it doesn't matter how many people practice something. It doesn't matter how many people support, condone, defend, and impose something. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
It doesn't matter how many people practice Islam. It doesn't matter how many people support, condone, or believe in Islam. If it provides bad ideas, it provides bad ideas. I told you that was a can of worms you didn't want to open.
And let's face it, you don't even need religion to tell you that homosexual acts are indecent. Think about it.
I thought about it. It doesn't cause me any problems. You're just a bigot, and we're not all like you. Do you have any other arguments? Any good ones?
Oh, and Islam is not the only religion which is opposed to homosexuality. In fact, have a look at what the Bible says. If a man lies with a male as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death.
And again, if you want a reason why that particular passage doesn't say what he thinks he says, please go watch my Steven Anderson video. Short version, male in the context of the time means young boy, not grown man. This is a passage about pedophilia, not homosexuality. Stop misusing it. And even if it was talking about homosexual acts between two consenting adults, the fact that you're both wrong does not make either of you right.
Now, in the Holy Quran, it says that Lut was sent to his people, and he told them, most surely you come to males in lust instead of females. Nay, you are a transgressing people. In the book Greater Sin, the homosexual act is listed as the 11th greatest sin. It is narrated there that the Holy Prophet said, one who commits the act of the people of Lut and dies before repenting will also be counted among them, i.e. the people of Lut. And in the end, we all know what happened to the people of Lut.
This is no different than saying that you know what happened to the people in Sodom and Gomorrah, and it is just as convincing, i.e. not. If your reason behind something is the fact that your holy book said it, then you're probably wrong. Trust me, you can find better reasons for your epistemology than things that were written thousands of years before you were even conceived. Stop letting other people think for you. With that said, everybody, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe, and remember that at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, the 3rd, RJ Downard will be on my channel for a stream talking about evolution, and if that wasn't the only thing to look forward to, at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday the 11th, Aaron Raw will be on my channel to play a game of Did You Pull That Out of Your Ass with me. No, I'm not joking. That's the actual game we're playing. If you have any questions, then you'll have to tune in to find out. Or I'll let the rules slip sometime soon. Finally, before we get into the Patreon slides, we have a new $20 patron in Inane Dragon, so thank you very much, good sir. People like you are the reason this channel continues to grow. Thanks again to all the people that came here from Telltale Atheist's channel. And as we roll into the Patreon slides, everyone, as per usual, insert end of video tagline here.